From Omaha, Nebraska, it's Row 87 with Schutz and Boom. Wit, grit, substance, sports. And now, your hosts, Jesse Schutz and Trevor Boom Constance.
What's going on, everybody? We're back. It's been a while. I'm Schutz.
I'm still Boom.
What's going on, man? It's been a journey, has it not?
It has been a very long journey. We are coming up on November, and we're doing the first episode of our third season.
This is wild. I laughed, I cried, I didn't know what was going to happen.
I still don't know what's going to happen.
We may not have an opponent this weekend.
There might not be a game this weekend.
Yeah, the ride to get here has been absolutely insane. My football season's pretty much done. We're waiting on a playoff if we get a playoff crew or not. I've done a whole football season of high school. We're just now getting into college football for the Big Ten.
Yes, the rest of the nation's been playing for a few weeks, and here we are finally getting going. So at least we have something to talk about for the first time in a long time.
It's long overdue, isn't it?
Very much so overdue. I couldn't be happier to I didn't get to watch the game. I was stuck at work, but I was watching the game cast while on the clock, so I guess that counts.
Easy money, right?
It was pretty easy money. It was.
No, I watched the whole thing. It was we'll get to it. It was decent. I'm kind of the same way I was before kickoff.
Yeah.
But hey, we've got football back.
We do have football back, and we've got a game to discuss. We've got a game to preview. We've got all kinds of little tidbits like sprinkled throughout the entire show.
Right. COVID kind of did a number this year, did it not?
19.
Yeah,
was the number, I believe.
It was. This is a weird season. I've been numb, I guess, even well before the Big Ten started. I don't know how you felt, but for me, it's been. I never thought I'd say this or see the day that I was numb.
Okay, so putting things in perspective when it comes to sports, I have watched parts of 2 football games. One with you at a sports bar in town on a Monday night, NFL.
Yep.
And then I watched part of a Monday night football game at an establishment in Fremont on a Monday night. And that's the only football that I've watched. That's it.
I've watched since I've yet to watch an ESPN game day, which is the first time in 15 years.
I don't think you're missing much.
No, I think it's gone down. It feels like football, but it doesn't because the fans aren't allowed in the stands. I think that's overkill, personally. We're not going to go down politically the COVID road, but I just think that it's just a different feel this year. I think that the Big Ten delaying the way it did is going to help them in some ways and really hurt them probably when it comes to voting.
I would say that's probably a pretty good guess. I would say, well, I don't know, because let's say Ohio State is just hot. Let's say they keep rolling.
Right.
Week after week after week after week after week, all the way up through, because let's not forget week 9 is championship weekend.
Right.
And they just went 9-0 in 9 weeks.
Little wiggle room, but it also proves when you're playing all big boys in-house. Yeah, I suppose there's a benefit there. But I think could we also say in the same turn, Nebraska's game gets canceled, or Ohio State's, dare we say Ohio State, Michigan gets canceled. Then where are they at?
Who cares?
Right.
I'll be just fine that weekend. Black Friday. We'll have the Skurs and the Hawkeyes.
I'm at Cabela's. I'm at the gun counter. I'll be working. I get to miss that.
I requested that day off of work so that I could actually watch. I know I get to watch this weekend's game. I'm going to be smoking a brisket.
Right.
Yeah. Smoking a brisket, watching the game, and then having a little it'll be a post-game meal with some family and friends. So
I had vacation, well, not vacation at Cabela's, but I had to choose dates, and I chose deer hunting.
Deer hunting?
Yeah, I chose the 14th to the 22nd. While I still have to work, I get certain days off so I can actually go get the buck.
So you're going to go hunting?
I'm going to go hunting, and basically
you're not Hawkeye hunting?
Oh, I wish.
You're not going to take part in Iowa Hate Week?
I think they're doing that to themselves. We'll get to that. But I think they're doing that to themselves. I had to choose, and it's on Black Friday at Cabela's. Everybody's working. Doesn't matter. It's inexcusable. You will be there. You will work.
Well, I volunteered to work Thanksgiving Day at my job, so I'm hoping that they grant my request to not work on Black Friday. I'm willing to give them Christmas Day as well. Don't care.
Your job might actually get the wiggle room that you're going to be able to do that.
I'm hoping so.
Here nor there. Cigars are plentiful the next couple of weeks and after the games. I had one. Didn't work out for Nebraska, but I had one.
I'm pretty sure I smoked a cheap cigar.
Yeah.
because there was nothing to celebrate on Saturday.
Yeah, it's just a weird year. The whole thing, the whole field, is it not to you? I've been watching this most of my life.
Like I said, I haven't. We are literally days away from November. I have not watched a college football game. Not one. Not even. I'm a part-time LSU fan just because of my childhood where I grew up. The CWS LSU fans are great to be around. They're fun.
They're a lot of fun.
They're struggling this year, but I haven't even watched an LSU game. I haven't even watched Sports Center to catch up what's going on.
I have
honestly.
been. Would you say that this year, of the games you've watched and the tidbits you're picking up, especially now that the Husker season has started, would you say that this is, well, college football is wacky, especially in the season openers. Always is. Would you say this season's even wackier because of the COVID, because of the, hey, we're going to play, no, we're not?
Something's going on. My Chicago Bears are 5-2. They lost yesterday, but they're 5-2. And so something's obviously afoot.
Right.
Something's obviously off.
Well, Oklahoma losing
back-to-back weeks.
Back-to-back weeks. Texas up and down. I think, well, we've talked about him on the hot seat for a while. But look around. Aside from Alabama, Clemson, everybody's up and down, up and down, up and down.
I think the best part of this season is not having to deal with the Pac-12. Good riddance.
Oh, they're joining the party.
Sure. Nobody will watch.
Well, no, I think that they're out. I mean, let's stick on that for a second. Do you think, legitimately, there's a team from the Pac-12 that can contend?
No.
Not even your boy Clay Helton at USC or Nike U?
Nope. I think that Oregon perennially is a top 15 team. 5-10 years ago, I would have said top 5 on an annual basis. They're a top 15 to 20 team every year. And they'd probably be right around there this year. 2, maybe 3 losses by the end of the year. But nothing special.
Well, I think that as I just alluded to earlier, I think the Big Ten kind of hurt themselves. They still got in the race in enough time. I think the Pac-12, let's be honest, even if they had started when the SEC, ACC, and Big 12 did, maybe Oregon, maybe USC, but as soon as they played one another, it wouldn't matter because only one's going to go. You look around, I think the Big 12, aside from a dark horse Kansas State, who could still, they're a one-loss team. They could still do it. I think that right now, right out of the gate, Big 12, Pac-12, you're out of the race. It's already over.
Did Oklahoma State lose this? Are they still unbeaten?
I believe they are.
They have a chance.
Maybe.
If they can run the table.
Maybe.
If they can run the table, they have a puncher's chance. Because I think that just because I think that the SEC, when it is all said and done, will be cannibalistic because they are being forced.
That's beautiful. Isn't it? Now, I will say the one benefit is that I like seeing that, don't you?
Yes.
No non-con. You'll play conference and you'll play in-house.
And the other reason I think they have a puncher's chance is Notre Dame isn't winging it as an independent.
Now, are we talking puncher's chance like Mike Tyson's Fury on Sega Genesis where they're Mike Tyson's puncher chance?
I'm saying that Oklahoma State, if they could run the table, might have a seat at the table, at the big boy table. I doubt it, and I don't think they'll run the table. But if they do, I think they have a shot, just because it's a wacky year.
This is insane, and God willing, next year we don't have to face this, and we're on cue. But you're okay. I'll give you that. But you think you're telling me right now, right here, Pac-12 done. It's out. It's over.
Forget it.
Doesn't matter.
Who cares?
Oregon runs the table. Doesn't matter.
That's an academic conference.
Well, that's a sun, fun, skiing, surfing conference. They don't really care about their sports program.
Sup?
What's up, man?
What's up?
Be a lot cooler if you did.
They're all high. They don't care about foosball. They care about basketball, academics, weed, and the beach.
No, academics behind the weed and the beach. But yeah, I suppose.
Depending. You got to give Stanford their props.
You know what? You're right.
But that's it.
But would you give Oregon State their props on it? Colorado? Really?
Oregon State? Isn't that like Lincoln Northwest?
Right. Yeah.
Half of our roster from a few years back are shining stars if they were able to take the field right now.
It's ridiculous. I don't know. I think that Big Ten, the only hope they have is Ohio State now.
Michigan. If Michigan continues to roll like that, brand alone, those two teams are undefeated at the end of the year.
Maybe I'm being a little premature. I think that
if they are both undefeated at the end of the year, the winner of that game.
What about whiskey?
They're not going to go undefeated. They're not going to go undefeated. And even if they go undefeated in the regular season, they will not beat whoever they play from the East. They will not, which is Ohio State. They will not beat Ohio State
or Michigan. I could see them beating Michigan.
I don't see Jimmy H getting through Ryan Day. They had a good old time against Flecky and the road.
That
the
was
boat
actually
crew.
you didn't bat an eye. I did on that game. I watched it, and they still ran decently well. But what I was surprised at is that Bateman from Minnesota he had a good day. He had the quietest 100-yard game you'd seen. But the quarterback that's eluding me now from Minnesota, that's all he threw to was him. That was it. I'm going to throw to him. They showed a lot of weakness. Their run game is still pretty strong. It concerns me for Nebraska going down the road. Ibrahim's the real deal. That guy can run.
Well, let's touch a little bit on Nebraska and them. Are you really? I know it's one game, and they play the best team they're going to face all year. Week 1 at the Shoe.
Yeah,
15 people in the crowd.
Right.
Packed to capacity allowed.
Right.
Okay. Nebraska gives up a ton of yards.
They did.
I am more concerned. Now, they also played a Heisman candidate at quarterback.
Yep.
Faced a trio of future NFL wide receivers.
Yeah, 2 of those receivers are going first round.
So take it with a grain of salt. How do you feel? You watched the game. I did not. I've listened. I've seen the pressers, so I've gotten perspective from coaches, from players. I have also listened to a lot of the local pundits. I've read what the local pundits have to say. Are you more concerned with Nebraska's pass or rush? Before we flip sides of the ball here,
right.
Defensively. Are you more concerned right now with their pass defense or their rush defense?
I think we're going to get a lot of questions answered this weekend if there indeed is a game. I would have to say, starting off with what I've seen, I was indifferent about it. Let me back up and tell you, and I'll get to that. Let me back up and tell you that before we went on the air, I was like, everybody's in a tiss and worried and this and that. While it wasn't promising, if I told you next week Nebraska was playing Alabama or Clemson and lost by 4 touchdowns, you would say,
okay.
That's who they played. That's the caliber of team they played. Nebraska clearly isn't there. Now, to field your question, right now it's the pass. Now, I think that was by scheme. I think that they were giving cushions like you couldn't believe because they were terrified of what
But how concerned are you that a spread team was able to do that on a defense that faces a spread team every day in practice?
That's interesting. That's a good one.
Now, the caliber of athlete, much better. We're going to get into the offensive side of the ball and the wide receiver room that's obviously empty in Lincoln. But doesn't that concern you at all?
It does. The amount of cushion that they actually gave, especially when the game went. I get starting off, you're going to play light. Let's see what kind of hand I've been dealt here, what they're going to do. But the cushions they gave consistently throughout the game, it does concern me. I'm more worried about the pass. The pass rush at times, I'll say flashes, was decent, especially considering I think they have 2 All-Americans for sure on that offensive line and definitely some all-conference candidates. Not bad. The fact that the targeting's, we went into this before the show. By definition, those are targets. Those are targeting. There absolutely are. Jojo Doman has slipped. He escaped. They waved it off.
Thank God, by the way.
Oh, God. Can you imagine?
If we would have been missing him along with the other 2 just
boy.
for the first half of the Wisconsin game.
Oh, boy. Yeah, it is, thank God. I do feel comfortable in the fact we are supposedly pretty deep in the secondary as far as depth goes. We'll see. We're going to find out real quick. But, no, the problem I have was with the targeting is that by letter of the law, those are absolute targets. Charlie McBride was on, I think he was on a radio show earlier, and he commented, he goes, the problem with the targeting call is that the pendulum has swung too far. There needs to be degrees of targeting. If you want to give him a 15-yard for targeting, give him a 15-yard. But kicking the kid out of the game and then he misses the next half of the next game, depending on the severity, I'd agree with you. But most of the time nowadays, this rule's been in effect for many years now. I can tell you we had a high school game, there was one time it happened. It doesn't happen as much as people think it. The egregious ones. I'll say the outrageous ones. We had it happen this year. But as far as outrageous, I'm out to headhunt targeting, it's not as prevalent as it used to be. I think that they need to taper it, and I think they need to make it level. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Levels of it. Now, I will say this. You know how pro-official we are, especially me, doing football.
Yes.
I can tell you that last 4 minutes of that half was terrible. That was a face mask. There was a holding involved with it, a pass interference that, now I haven't played back judge, but my goodness, I've seen worse in youth league than I did in that. And that's a whole other side story. We'll get into officiating some other show. But you know what? At the end of the day, regardless of all that, the targetings and the sloppy play, that didn't affect how Nebraska lost the game. That would not have changed. That end of the second quarter, while it sucked, didn't change that game. I'm more concerned. We're going to flip sides now.
Okay, let's flippy flip.
I'm more concerned with our offense than I am our defense.
Before the show began, I looked at you and I said, again, I feel like the offense of the Nebraska Cornhuskers is the biggest detriment to the Nebraska Cornhuskers. You asked me which side of the ball. I said this towards the end of last year. I've been saying it for a while. What side of the ball concerns me? Offense. We have a guru, quote guru, as our head coach, who brings in a buddy of his, a guy who's familiar with the system, exit Walters, in Cubs Lubick. We're hearing things like, oh, the receivers are running these great routes. What wide receivers? Who started the game? Who started the game at wide receiver?
Wandale.
Okay. Cade Warner.
And why does it elude me now? I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I believe it was somebody from the middle of nowhere, Nebraska. Not knocking middle of nowhere, Nebraska.
Yeah, but it didn't matter anyway because
didn't matter.
Cade Warner was not effective. Wandale Robinson was a no-show, essentially. And then Jack Stoll had a great catch, which alludes to our targeting, in which they took his knee. It was a clean hit. It was a beautiful hit. The guy's 265. You're a defensive back. You want to take him head on? No. And as far as we know, he at the very least tweaked his knee.
So thank God the tight end room is as deep as it is.
But where were they?
Well,
out to lunch?
I'm pretty sure I know where they were. Hell, I know where Wandale was.
Yeah.
Where was Greg Bell? I know where he was too.
Not
on
Greg
the
Bell,
side,
you mean Mills. Millsy.
Millsy, sorry. I apologize to Millsy.
Yeah.
I got Greg Bell on the mind because he actually had a pretty damn good game for San Diego State over the weekend. He did.
No, I
neither here nor there. Here's the problem. The problem is in the booth and communication. I don't know. The play calling.
You get
the play.
You get a delay a game coming out.
Dedrick Mills carried the ball 9 times. 9 times. Now, as you pointed out before the show, Nebraska outrushed Ohio State, which speaks volumes of our run defense a little bit. And it also shows that the best athlete on the team is probably Luke McCaffrey.
No, I like the play, and I don't mind the play call. I do mind the play calling. My concern is that it seems like Scott is so obsessed with we need these big hitters. And he had the Luke McCaffrey play, the rollout to Austin Allen.
Adrian had a big run too, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He had a big run. He had a fumble also that was returned for a touchdown. I think he leads quarterbacks in fumbles. But,
yeah.
I'm not trying to make this a bash session. It's just it's boggling. That one drive to tie it up to make it 14-14 in the first half was probably the best drive I've seen Nebraska have since Scott Frost has hit the door.
Right.
It was actually a sustained drive. But the consistency of what our offense does, it's, oh, my God, they can hit you for a 60-yarder.
And that is what has plagued this team for going on close to 7 years.
The offensive line looks better. The defensive line looks better. They do. They look the part. They finally do. Offensive line, for the most part, I thought had a pretty good game. It was the play calling that was just where's
we heard Greg Austin talking about let's go north and south.
Yes, last year.
Spring ball. It was his press conference during spring ball, where they were talking. He was kind of going, I don't know how do I feel about bubble screens, or how do I feel about a screen pass, or north and south. Let's get north and south.
Let's get vertical.
Where was getting vertical? Where was that at? Now, yes, you're playing the best team you're going to play all year. You're playing with house money in 2020. Nobody is losing eligibility. Everybody can come back next year. Will they? No. But everybody could if they so chose.
And I'll go further, and I don't think there's going to be a single coach fired after this year, regardless of what happens to their record. In the Big Ten, could you think of one?
Yes.
Who?
In Iowa City.
Okay, maybe.
Just because of circumstance. Outlying circumstances.
You get my point,
but
though.
yes.
You're playing with house money. Where was Hickman on the outside that moved to receiver?
Omar Manning.
Where was Betts? Maybe I'll give him a pass. Maybe he's not ready.
Where's Nance?
Yeah.
There are a lot of guys in that room.
They said they were 7 or 8 deep.
Well, we saw 3 guys.
Yeah. 4.
4 consistently.
Alante Brown looked great at the end of the game, the last play. That was a great catch. Great
None
run.
of them made an impact, but I don't think it was because of them.
I just don't get it. Where is the North and South? No, I don't have delusions of 95 Husker ball. I never have. I'm long over that, especially since I met my brother and I came back down to earth. But you talk about this, and you alluded to this, and maybe we're sounding doom and gloom here, but it's a genuine – my biggest concern right now is our offense, and I never thought I'd say that.
Well,
I was hard on Chins the last couple of years. I have been. But my goodness.
Steel sharpens steel. So why not go out there? I'm not saying tank the game, and I'm not saying just run the ball for the sake of running the ball. You run the ball against a team like this, and you set the tone, at least play-wise, for these kids. This is what we're about this year. We're going to pound the rock, dink, 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 and then dunk. Then we're going to go downfield. Okay,
that's what Wisconsin has done.
That's what Wisconsin does, right? So that's what we did in the '90s, as you told me, but as you pointed out before the show started. So you have this going on, right? So why not do that this week or last week? Continue to do that this week against a team that's good but not quite as good. Then you got Illinois in week 3.
Northwestern
in week 3. Huge drop-off talent-wise. Not coaching-wise, talent-wise.
Scary.
Okay, but why wouldn't you try to set the tone? Because steel does sharpen steel. And by the time Northwestern week rolls around, if you're not tough and if you're not ready to go through the rest of your Big Ten season,
you're in trouble.
You're in trouble. I feel like we're in trouble already because they were afraid. To me, maybe it's Scott just still trying to be a little too Pac-12 cute. Maybe he's still a little too American Athletic Conference cute.
I get crease football. That's what Ohio State does. However, Ohio State has 5 stars all over the place. Yeah, I'll give you some numbers. Try this on for size, and we'll wrap up the Ohio State game. Nebraska has roughly, I want to say, low 20s 4 stars on their team. Low 20s. That's actually, if you look around the country, that's pretty damn good.
Not too damn bad.
That's actually, you can do recruiting-wise, Scotty and his boys are doing a hell of a job. You can't deny that.
They can recruit. Can they coach?
It's Ohio State has 50 4 stars on their team. They have a dozen of the 20 low 20-some 5 stars in the Big Ten Conference. 12 of them belong. That means that 62 of their 85 players are a 4-star or above.
Now we could spend the next 20 minutes talking about Saturday's game and how things went. But why beat a dead horse when it comes to playing in Ohio State?
We're not there.
We have doom and gloomed.
Yep.
Doom and gloom boom. We've done enough of that. Give me 3 things that you thought actually went well for Nebraska.
I thought, as a whole, offensive and defensive line played a pretty solid game. I wouldn't say damn great, but a pretty solid game.
There was a pass rush.
To a degree, it wasn't consistent, but it was there. Again, caliber-wise, we've been over it. I mean, clearly, we've been over it. And Nebraska's not there yet. Fine. Moving on. I thought the lines played well. I thought the outside linebackers and the inside linebackers, I'll put it this way, played cohesive football. They looked like both sets of units inside and out, coached by two different coaches, were on the same damn page for the first time.
Sidebar. Are you concerned at all about depth at linebacker? Because how many did Colin Miller get a breather?
They say that Luke Reimer's supposed to come back this week. I am at inside. Outside, not really. I think they have several options they can flip and flop there. Inside, I am.
Okay.
I am because I don't want another Mulberry situation where by the end of the year, especially with no bye weeks this year, they're beat to hell because those inside linebackers are having to run fit over and over and over. You got to have three. Comfortably, in a 3-4 package, you want 4 guys ready to roll.
Which is why we actually feel a little bit better about that D-line this year.
Yes.
Because they've got a lot of bodies, not experience, but a lot of bodies to roll in and out.
If I was to say, I'd say that. And then special teams, we talked about this before the show. I'm still indifferent on it. I guess a bonus, I would put it in the category of nothing catastrophic happened.
I would have to agree there. I think
it wasn't great, but it wasn't.
We made a field goal.
We didn't give up a punt return or a kick return for a touchdown. We also didn't lose horrible field position to a punt return or a kick return.
Progress.
Is it pretty? I don't know yet. I don't think they fielded one kick. Did they? They might have. I can't recall. Did they field one kick?
I can't remember, to be honest with you. Like I said,
it was always fair
watching
catches. But you know what? Compared to last year, right out of the gate, I would put it in the positive category.
So I think my takes when it comes to smiles or positivity about last week's game, I would have to agree with you on the defensive side of the ball. I think we saw some progress as a whole. I think you saw more physicality. I think Mike Dawson has already paid dividends, bringing him back.
I'd agree.
Not that the outside linebacker position is fixed, but you sure as hell didn't see missed assignments on every series like you did last year. And I would also defensive line. There was a little bit of a pass rush. I'd say that was a positive. And physicality. I think that Nebraska finally looks like a physical team that isn't getting sloshed around the field, that isn't just getting manhandled around the field. I think that Coach Duvall and his work is finally paying off in a sense that we've got some big boys that aren't lying down or getting pushed around.
Let me ask you this. Would you agree when it comes to that, if indeed there's a game, because rumor has it that COVID-19 has hit hard in Madison and we may not even have a game, but if we did, would you agree that this is probably, sans Iowa, the biggest test physicality-wise we're going to face the rest of the year?
And don't forget Illinois. I know that sounds
Illinois'
stupid.
Defense.
I know that
Illinois'
sounds stupid.
Defense. Illinois' offense is softer than a batch of cookies. Watch them put 500 yards on us.
Probably.
But
they did last year.
I would say you want to know how far we've come. You don't look at Ohio. That's a great gauge. Don't get me wrong. As far as talent and as far as who's who of the NFL draft, we played them.
Several weeks ago, you and I were having a conversation, and I said we were talking about what we need to see this year, what we need to see to mark improvements, and we talked about the fact that one of a few things needs to happen this year, and that's you either need to end the plague of Wisconsin or you need to end the plague of Iowa, and it needs to happen. You need to win one of those two games this year, at least. Yep. One of those two games needs to be a W.
Well, one of them's rolling to town in about 5 days.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. Wait. If they don't play, can we count that as a moral victory?
I'm tired of that. There's another one I want to get to.
Moral victory.
I'm tired of that. I'm so tired of it. They looked good for a quarter. Florida Atlantic would look good for a quarter against Ohio State. I'm tired. And I'm not saying, listen, I saw progress in that game.
Yes.
But I'm tired of this moral victory crap. We're 25 games in. It's your team through and through. I realize there are still some Riley.
Doesn't matter. This is Scotty's squad.
This is your team.
His team, his coaching, his way.
Where are we going? Do I think that we should win out? No, I'm not saying that.
National champs.
I'm not saying that, but okay. I'm saying that let's start seeing some. I talked about the consistency of that offensive drive and the consistency of the defense. Can I see 4 quarters of football, win or lose, where we look good the entire game? That's what I want to see. You're right. Monkey off your back. Iowa, Wisconsin, we should beat one of them, and I think we will. This weekend, big if, there's a game. Okay, strap them up. They're 320 across the board, and literally 320 across the board. Ain't no secret what they're going to do, especially now the fact that they're Mertz, is that his name?
Something, yeah.
That freshman sensation that was 20 of 21 passing and threw for 5 touchdowns. He did that because they ran the ball decent enough that they bit, and they throw deep. That sounds familiar, like an offense we've known for many, many years around these parts. Strap them up, boys. It's not a secret what they're going to do. It's not at all.
No.
You want a real gauge of where this team is, defensive line and how we played physical, offensive line and how we did? Well, this weekend.
Depending on how you round numbers and carryover and whatnot, they've already rushed for 135 yards against us this upcoming Saturday.
Yeah.
They're still running the ball.
Yeah. Traditionally, they've killed us. Last year, there's some promise. I hate doing this because year to year, especially in this game in college, pro, you can kind of bite on that year to year. They got 6-7 year contracts, some of them. Millsy had a hell of a day. He had a hell of a day. I think it was over 180 yards against him last year.
Well, let's hope he touches the ball more than 9 times.
But you look at it, great. We turned the ball over several times. We did not protect the quarterback at all. Urban Meyer said something pretty interesting. You know, he's an analyst now for Fox. He goes,
Who?
Urban Meyer. He said something pretty interesting. He goes, well, Scott's been preaching this too, and this is not a Scott bashing session we're having here, but he goes, you got to get talent around him. You got to get talent on the outside. I mean, no, if we don't show a vertical threat this Saturday, to some degree, and I am not talking about the crease football that he's used to at Oregon, where you flip it to a guy 6 yard out and he dances for 70 yards because he's just shifty and fast. I'm talking about a 30-yard straight ball right down the field and a 6'2", 210-pound receiver catches it. Nebraska, I don't care who you have. You're not going to get much done. They have to show it. They have to show a vertical threat because otherwise Wisconsin's going to go, you know what?
We'll put all 11 in the box.
Let's put them all in the box. Don't worry, boys. I can run a pretty vanilla defense because they will shoot themselves in the foot. And that's been the biggest plague Nebraska's had. And this Saturday, they can vindicate some of that. They can, but can you do it? Can you do it for 4 quarters? That's really the question.
Until they do it, I'm not going to believe they can. And that's not me being pessimistic. That's me. Things happen often enough, it becomes a trend.
Yeah.
It becomes a trend, and it becomes habit. And habits are hard to break. And until they do, I don't know. I can't fully buy in until I see it. I can't believe it.
So if you look around the Big Ten,
yes.
Who have you seen that you've been impressed with? Who's been some duds for you?
Well, again, I haven't legitimately watched a game yet. That will change this Saturday, by the way. Foosball will be on the television in between me going out to
and
check
moving
the smoker.
forward.
And moving forward for the most part, except for work days. But anyways, who was impressed?
Yeah.
Indiana.
That was a thriller. Yeah.
Impressed. Purdue. Impressed. Believe it or not. Do I think they're going to be world beaters or win the West? No. I don't, but they definitely impressed.
Oh, Bobby Diaco holding Iowa down a little bit. Not greatly.
Roar. You are shaking right now. Worried about Bobby Diaco and the Fighting Diacos taking down the mighty, mighty Scofro.
For those that don't know, Bob Diaco was defensive coordinator Riley's last year at Nebraska, and Nebraska's defense was let's put it this way. It makes Kevin Cosgrove under the Callahan era look like Charlie McBride.
Yes.
And now he's a defensive coordinator at Purdue, and they actually hit pretty decent. I watched the game. They hit pretty decent. Iowa doesn't have a quarterback to save its life right now.
Yeah, we'll have to see as things goes on. On the unimpressive side, those are the two teams that Michigan. I think Michigan looked impressive against a team that neither you or I believed were going to be champions of the West by any means this year. I expected them to play a little bit better, I think, against Michigan. I thought going into this year, I thought that even though it is a COVID year, Jimmy H's, butt cheeks are a little bit warm on that seat.
Well, Jimmy H has got 2 tests this year, and one of them's this weekend against Michigan State. The other one's who.
Yeah.
That's his test. Passes them both, he's fine. I don't think he'll be fired anyway this year. Now, next year will be the deciding year. But you're right. For me, impressed. Purdue, just the fact that running back of theirs, I can't remember his name, ran tough. He ran tough. He reminded me of a bowling ball. Just bounced off guys and just kept going. No Jeff Brom, no Rondale Moore. They looked decent. Iowa did not impress. I was really shocked at that. They're known for kicking out tight ends. They're known for kicking out offensive linemen and running it down your throat. They didn't do it. Not really. They had a couple plays. They had a couple series where they did, but consistency-wise, no. Jimmy H has finally got his quarterback that's his guy. That's not a JUCO or a transfer or a
that kid looked good.
A rollover. Milton, yeah, he did. They look legitimate. Penn State did not impress. Wow. I mean, people were calling for upset there. I didn't buy into it. Shame on me. 20 going into that game, 21 out of 22 times they've met, Penn State has won. I don't know. Maybe I'm 3-4 years too early to tell, but maybe I'm 3-4 years late on my prediction about James Franklin and Penn State. I've never been impressed with their defense. I've never been impressed with Penn State's defense. Watch them shut us out. But it's just I never have. I don't know. In the East, it's Ohio State to me and Michigan. Surprise, surprise. In the West right now, your teams to beat are Whiskey and, believe it or not, Purdue.
I think
Northwestern impressed
Northwestern
me.
Impressed as well.
I'd throw them up there.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if I've seen a dud. I think Iowa kind of dudded a little bit in a sense that I think they're a better football team than Purdue and should have won that football game. The ultimate dud, even though I didn't expect much out of them this year, and by the way, I called and it hasn't fully happened yet, but I think they're going to be the worst team in the Big Ten. I think they might go winless. Michigan State.
Sparty.
And, Mel Tucker cashed that check, but how happy is he going to be in East Lansing, and how long will he be? And it's not even his fault.
No.
This is the aftermath of
D'Antonio. You called it. That's an interesting case, though. Yeah, I'm with you. I was shocked as hell when Rutgers beat them. I mean, I know Schiano's the big hype, and they're very excited. Schiano's back in town, and yada, yada, yada.
Congratulations, Noah Vedral.
Yeah, but I still was shocked that they won the game. I know there were 2 breaking in new coaches, but you got to understand the bottomless pit of what is Rutgers football for the last damn near 2 decades. Horrid, putrid football coming out of there. I think that they're going to reserve that title for Maryland. It's going to be a Maryland-Michigan State show.
Yeah.
What Northwestern did to them.
You want to talk about a game that – are you going to watch that game?
Michigan State, Maryland?
Yeah.
Yes. Just like if I would have been old enough to realize when Kansas played Kansas State, 2 winless teams, here we go. Somebody's got to win. It was a big celebration in Kansas. Somebody's got to win it. It was packed stadium. 2 0-10 teams playing one another to decide who wins it. I don't know. You look at Maryland, and I told you before we went on air, I go, when they played Northwestern, I expected Northwestern to win the game. They're just one of the best coach teams in the Big Ten. But, my God, when it comes to talent, now what you do with that talent, Maryland whips Northwestern when it comes to talent, especially at the skill position. Line, maybe not so much. Skill, oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness, the DMV, as we joke around, has talent. They
don't have coaching.
Well, and I don't think they have an institution either that cares.
Correct.
I went to that.
Which is a shame because they've got Under Armour money.
Yeah, they got Under Armour money, and they got the DMV area that we laugh and joke that actually has a wealth of talent that Michigan goes after, Penn State goes after, Ohio State goes after. That New Jersey, that DMV area kicks out talent year after year that several, not just in the Big Ten, but several East Coast schools go after.
Absolutely.
And to see them doing that way, I mean, I remember being in Maryland last year to watch Nebraska win. It was a surprising win. And my boy Pete from the Cape was with us, and that was the first time he'd lived there for 40 years, the first time he'd been to the stadium. He lives in the area. He's a sports nut. Yeah, nobody cares. We'll watch the Redskins. We'll watch Baltimore. Is there an Orioles game on? They don't care. It's the campus is beautiful, by the way. Fanfare and the ones that did show up, but it's just one of those cases where you're like Rutgers we talked about. Boy, what a sleeping giant if they ever get it going. Now, I'm not saying Shiano's the guy to do it after one game against Mel Tucker and Michigan State.
Coach of the year.
Big Ten Coach of the Year.
They win. That'd be a legitimate. If they win 3 or 4 games, that's a legit argument.
Out of an 8-game season, yeah.
That would be a legitimate argument for Greg Schiano. Ryan Day's already won that award, by the way.
We went over this haves and have-nots before the season. We went over this when the first schedule came out. It was going to be 10 games. Or it was a retooled scheduling, and then they said no, and now they made it an 8-game schedule. Haves and have-nots. What schools want to play football? That's a real thing. And that's not just in the Big Ten, by the way. We're seeing it across the country. Who wants to be here? Who doesn't want to be here? Who doesn't want to be playing football right now? And that has to do with the institution.
Michigan State?
No. The shit show that he was left, I don't want to dwell on it, but Mel Tucker took a paycheck. Thank you. I'll double my money up overnight. $5 million. Sure. Institutions, not necessarily coaching staffs, but institutions that are like, you saw it in the votes when they canceled it the first time around. Yeah. Who wants to play football? Who doesn't want to play football? I think Iowa's case has to do with the fact that they've got some internal issues going on.
Yes, they
But they want to play football.
They do want to play football.
Interesting to see. So we go from haves and have-nots to around the country. All right, Boom. We haven't done this in a long time. Boom's Pick'em, top 25.
Okay.
What do you think?
What do we got?
We have.
Pass.
Well, you might want to pass on this one. Clemson, Boston College. Clemson by 31 at Clemson.
Give the points.
Or you think it'll be closer than that?
No, give away the
excuse me.
points. Give away the points.
Georgia, Kentucky. At Kentucky, Georgia by 14.5.
Take the points.
Really? You think Kentucky fights with them? Okay.
Yep.
Memphis 3-1 against Cincinnati. 7th ranked Cincinnati. Cincinnati by 7 at Cincinnati.
I'm glad they're not on the schedule this year.
Yeah. Imagine.
What did you say that the spread was?
7. Cincy by 7.
Give away the points.
Yeah, they were
the Fighting Fickles. I believe in the Fighting Fickles.
Okay. We'll get to the Big Ten in a second. Kansas State. There might be the saving grace aside from Oklahoma State.
Yes.
Taking on West Virginia at West Virginia. Believe it or not, Kansas State is 16th ranked, 4-1 against West Virginia, 3-2. West Virginia is favored.
Give me the points.
You like Kansas State outright?
Yes.
Okay. Coastal Carolina, 20th ranked against Georgia State. I don't know enough about either one of them, quite honestly. Coastal Carolina by 2.5.
I just like to say the top 25 is an absolute joke this year.
Yeah, it's not good.
There's no credence.
Well, there's no rhyme or reason.
There's 3 teams and everybody else.
Well, the beauty of it is, like you said, though, the SEC can't hide behind weak scheduling and avoid
correct.
So you have that.
I'm going to pass on that game.
Iowa State and Kansas. Your boy Les Miles, who was
give up the points. Just give away the points.
28.5.
Give them away.
28.5.
They might get any more. They give Kansas 3 points if Les Miles can wipe his ass properly before they take the field. Kansas is an absolute.
They're a joke.
Take.
He was a splash higher, but not in year 1. He's not going to be.
Well, year 2. This is year 2.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I'm gonna give away the points.
That's right. Notre Dame, Georgia Tech. Notre Dame by 20 at Georgia Tech.
Give me the points.
You think Georgia Tech Notre Dame fought LSU? Was 12-7 was the final in that sloppy game? I'm calling for an upset if I had to choose. I'm letting you choose. This is Boom's hour, but I think Georgia Tech's going to beat them. Texas, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State by 3.5. Oklahoma State's 6th ranked right now. The Big 12 is done if they lose that game. It's over. I'm
going to take Texas outright.
That's probably.
I said if, but I didn't think that they would be able to run the table. I think that might be what saves Tom Herman.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. We'll see. Boise, 25th ranked, 1-0, taking on 1-1 Air Force. Boise State by 14.
Boise and the Chair Force. I'm going to pass on that game.
Mississippi State, Alabama. Alabama's second ranked, 5-0. At Alabama. Alabama by 31.
Give me the points. I think they win. I think they roll. Give me the points. So 31. If that would have been a 27.5 to 28 point spread, maybe. But give me the points.
Arkansas 2-2 at number 8. Texas A&M is 3-1. It's at Texas A&M. 12-point faves. Texas A&M.
Give me the points.
I'd have to agree with you for some strange reason.
Give me the points on that one.
Missouri versus Florida. Florida at Florida. Missouri's 2-2. Florida's 2-1. They're 10th ranked. Florida by 13.
Florida wins, but give me the points.
Navy SMU. Navy's 3-3. SMU is 5-1. SMU by 14.
Give me the points.
Yeah, I think that Navy wins that one. North Carolina 15th ranked against Virginia. North Carolina's 4-1. It's at Virginia. Virginia's 1-4. North Carolina, I believe, get this spread. This is going to be interesting. What does Vegas know? North Carolina by 6.5 on a 1-4 Virginia team.
Give me the points.
Okay, all right.
They win, but give me the points.
Close, down to the wire, huh?
I think so.
Okay.
Vegas knows something.
Vegas knows something. Oklahoma, Texas Tech. 24th ranked Oklahoma at 3-2 versus 2-3 Texas Tech in Lubbock. Oklahoma by 14.
I'm going to give away those points.
You think Oklahoma rolls?
Yes.
It's been such a wacky year. I'm going to throughout the season, folks. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to do a lot of picks. I'm going to leave it to Booms pick 'em just to test my brother.
I am terrible at this, by the way.
But I'm going to do it because it's going to force him to watch more damn games.
I can't help it if I'm at work.
I don't give a damn. You're going to watch more games.
We'll see.
I'm going to drag a TV into that joint. Western Kentucky, BYU by 29. They're 6-0. Western Kentucky's 2-4. That's a yawn game. Who knows? They're 11th ranked, by the way, BYU.
How many points?
29.
They win. They win, but they don't cover.
Marshall, that's been canceled. All right. Okay. All right, Boom. Here's where we get to hear your real feelings on how you feel about Big Ten teams. Minnesota, the Fighting Fluckies, against the barn burner, or rather dumpster fire, that is in Maryland. Minnesota, Maryland, at Maryland. Minnesota by 19.5.
Minnesota wins. They don't cover. 2-touchdown game.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I tend to lean they will cover. I think Maryland has got no clue from up or down, north or south right now. But okay. Michigan State and Michigan. Test 1 of Harbaugh's contract. He has 2 tests every year. Michigan State at Michigan. 0-1 versus 1-0, 13th ranked Michigan. Michigan by 24.5.
Drop those points. I'll drop.
Do you think it's going to be ugly? Really ugly?
Oh yeah. I think. Jimmy,
you think if he can hang 60, he'll hang 60 on
I think if he can hang 60, he'll hang 80.
Yeah. I agree. I tend to lean. This one, before the show, this intrigued me. Purdue, Illinois. At Illinois. Purdue by 7.
I'll drop 14.
Really?
I'll drop 14.
Really?
Oh yeah. I think Lovie Smith's team is that bad. I don't think Brahmi's boys are that good, but I think this is the year that I know it was whiskey, and I know week 1 and whiskey was out for blood because of what Illinois did to them last year.
Jump around.
Playing jump around after beating them. I think Lovie's boys are going to take some frickin' lumps this year. Some huge lumps.
Which is interesting because, to touch on Illinois real quick, he banked everything 4 years ago.
I also don't think they wanted to play football this year either.
Well, he banked everything 4 years ago. I told you, we've joked about the recruiting classes in the offseason. He had a recruiting class of 12 and a recruiting class of 13. He's known as Mr. Transfer U. Illinois has become Transfer U. He can't do it as well as Bill Snyder did, because Bill Snyder had the teams in Kansas, the JUCOs in Kansas, in his pocket, and he was a hell of a developer. Lovey's not a developer. He's a pro guy. Now, he had an established career. He's probably Hall of Fame. He's dancing it anyway.
I'd say no.
But he was a respectable coach. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
30 years in the game. He's a respected coach. He took an NFL mentality to Champaign and gutted.
How often does that work, by the way? We witnessed it in Lincoln.
Twice, if you want to really get technical. Twice we did. One with Callahan was the major one we're talking about. That's what he's done. He's got a JUCO quarterback. His D lineman, who's actually pretty good, came from South Carolina State. He's a JUCO. Two of his linemen, one of them's a transfer. He's done that for 2 years now. The other one is a converted D tackle. His best receiver is from USC. He's just transfer U. The problem is that on the back end, he played something like 40 freshmen his first year. Well, they're all seniors now. He gambled everything on this year. And if you think it's gotten bad now for Illinois fans, I got news for you. If this backfires, which statistically, numbers-wise, we've been crunching, it's going to, you're gutted. And next year, what have you got for your junior class? 12 guys, period. They have 13 linemen. Total offensive linemen on their team. Total. And one of them's a transfer. What are you going to do next year? I think 4 of the 5, I want to say, off the top of my head, 4 of the 5 are seniors.
I'd still probably take them over any team in the NFC East.
Right? About the same.
Take them over the boys, the Giants.
I like your pick on that Purdue game. Indiana-Rutgers. Indiana by 12. It's at Rutgers. What about an emotional letdown? Think of that before you give us a prediction.
Well, they could both have an emotional letdown.
That's a good point.
You know what? I'm going to say that's going to be close to a day. That's a really tough one for me to call. I'm going to go ahead and say Indiana wins by 10.
Okay. Northwestern Iowa.
What's the spread?
It's at Iowa. Iowa by 2.5. That's a pick'em game.
Outright upset. Fitzy's boys win by 1.
Win by 1. Last second field goal. Walk-off field goal.
Yeah. It's going to be sad. Outright win for Fitzy's boys.
And Iowa falls further into turmoil.
Yeah, as long as they do what they do every year at the end of the year, they'll be fine.
Harsh. Ohio State, Penn State. You know, game day is going to be there. That was built up to be the who decides who goes to the playoff.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Ohio State's going to Happy Valley. They're favored by 12.5. I'd drop it if it was me. I'm not picking. But I'm
going to drop the points.
I think that's a 20+. I do.
Yeah. I think Penn State's a better team than Nebraska. We'll see in a few weeks. Yeah.
All right.
A 20 to 24 point win. Sounds about right.
Comes down to it, Wisconsin, Nebraska in Lincoln, presumably this Saturday. We hope. 2:30 kickoff, I believe. Whiskey's got reports coming out that their stud freshman that came out of nowhere after Jack Cohn went down, threw for 20 or 21, something ungodly, 5 touchdowns, has got the Rona. He is out. Now, Paul Christ's mum on it. He won't talk about it, but there's been several reports that not only him, but the second-string quarterback. Well, he was the second-string quarterback behind Jack Cohn. Jack Cohn's out for several weeks. He's out.
Well, what's the spread?
The spread is, I wanted to say the last I saw, Wisconsin by 4.5.
Last year I watched a third-string quarterback gash Nebraska's defense.
Yep, that's true.
I'm going to say Whiskey does not cover, but they win.
That's interesting. It is... Actually, it's fallen. It's Whiskey by 3.
Okay.
I'm not going to pick a winner in this. I will predict what I like, what I see. Go ahead.
3.
Whiskey by 3.
I think that's a push. I'm not going to touch that. I think that's a push. I think Wisconsin wins the game, but I think they win it by a field goal.
I'll say this. I don't feel... until I see otherwise.
I think we're closer, but we're still not there.
I think we turn a lot of heads. I will not say win or lose. I won't do it in this game. And not because I'm afraid or I'm creating drama. I haven't seen enough in year 3 under Scott Frost to say that the offense won't shoot itself enough in the foot to cost them the game. Listen, Chins' defense, do I think it's lights out? No. Do I think it's showing improvement? Yes. I can't say the same for the offense. Well, the line I can. The line I can. It has nothing to do with the players at this point for me. Statistically, if you look at the numbers, Nebraska's out-recruited Wisconsin for years. And we haven't won in 7 years. But it's not a talent. It's not a talent issue. It's development, and it's X's and O's.
Coaching.
And am I
honestly, it's not even coaching; it's a system.
Am I over here? Am I over here saying that Scott doesn't have the right keys to get this off the ground and get it going? No, I'm not. Am I saying that Nebraska has no chance? No, I'm not. Or that they're not going in the right direction? But I haven't seen enough. If you ask me, I haven't seen enough to say any different than the last 6 years we've seen. Hell, Riley took them down to the wire. Riley took them down to the wire on the last second field goal.
I think we're closer, but I don't think. Listen, to be honest with you, my hope for this year is by the end of the year, and we don't know where or who Iowa is going to be.
Yep.
By the end of the year, I want Nebraska to beat teams that do not match their talent. And maybe even upset a team or two that they shouldn't beat or that they wouldn't be favored to beat. And maybe that's this game this Saturday. Maybe the fact that they're going to be playing their third or fourth string guy,
if there's a game,
plays into Nebraska's favor. But think about this. How many stud quarterbacks? One. I'm going to answer it for you. How many stud quarterbacks has Nebraska played against when facing Wisconsin?
Aside from Wilson, none.
Correct. They don't need a quarterback to win at Nebraska. They have won 7 in a row. They don't need a stud behind center. They don't need to throw for 400 yards. They just need to line up and play.
And it's really, I joked about this, but I'm going to say I can't believe it. I'm not saying the season's doomed, but until we see more offensive consistency, it has nothing to do with talent. It has nothing to do with line play. You showed concern about Greg Austin getting tired as the offensive line coach of.
Off the air before the show, my biggest fear is that he's going to walk away this year from Nebraska, maybe even to get an OC job. But hell, he could. The thing is, that dude could coach in the NFL. He's a perfect fit in college. I put him on par with Callahan when it comes to coaching an offensive line.
He's good.
And I feel like he's going to walk away because Scotty gets in Scotty's own brain and doesn't want to just go north and south. Not enough. I'm not saying we need to run the ball 90% of the time. I'm not saying we need to run the ball 60% of the time.
Scotty wants to run. It's just the style.
I'll take 40. I'll take 40% and not this scat back shit.
Yep.
Pound the ball.
Scotty came up enough that he wants to run the ball. You look at the statistics. We're a running team. We're a spread, hybrid spread, if you want to call it. There's several definitions. We're a running team. It's the style of running I have a problem with. There's been flashes. I tread lightly here. There's been flashes of, oh my God. And I'm not even talking about the I formation against Ohio State last year. But there's been flashes last year, for example, against the same team coming to town. Mm-hmm. Wow, you went in between the tackles and just went straight at him. Greg Austin doing that. But I saw a team this last week that didn't do any of that. Against a team that probably would have really shown something if you would have. Big test. We'll see. I'm skeptical, but let's put it this. I'm hopefully skeptical. I'm skeptically optimistic about this game. That's what I'll call it.
I will make I think Nebraska loses. I think it's a push.
It's a tight one.
A 3. I think it's going to be a 3-point game. A field goal. We've been within reach. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is the year that we've learned how to make field goals.
We did make one against Ohio State, and keys of the game to sum it for me is if you can show, and you don't have to do this a lot.
Consistency.
If you show consistency, we don't turn the ball over. That's plagued us for 10 years.
Be on the lighter half of 100 yards in penalties.
Yep.
That would help.
That might help. I think it's 2-3 times. Show me in this game you can have a vertical threat. It doesn't have to be a 70-yard hitter. 25 plus, twice in this game. Show me first downs. I've said this since he hit the door, and I told you this off the air. First down is everything to Scott Frost's offense. That's the way I look at it. Teams go, you know what, we'll line up vanilla. We don't have to go exotic on him. Stop first down, and he's completely thrown off of what he wants to do. Scott doesn't get 3.5, 4 yards on first down. It completely throws his system off. What do we do? Yeah, what do you do? What are you? I'm still waiting on that answer. What are we?
There still is no real identity with this
what
offense.
are we? Okay, we're a mix of everything. Well, how much of it are we good at? That's what I still want to know.
It's time to stop being a jack of all trades.
Yep. Listen, he wants to run. Look at the stats. We run more than we pass. I'm fine with that. But what kind of running? When do we run? How do we run? The consistency of when you put those plays in. It didn't work. So you stop going to it and you throw it twice. It doesn't work and we punt. I would love nothing more than this to be a 14-7 game and a knockdown, bloody 9-6 win over Michigan State in the freezing cold. You slobber knockered with.
How happy would you be with a 9-6?
I would love
this
it
weekend?
because it means we did 3 yards in a cloud of dust and you stuck to something. We joked off the air to close it up. We joked off the air about how it's starting. I hope I'm wrong. I'm still pro Scott in the corner of Scott Frost and what he's doing there, but it's starting to look a lot like Watson and Beck, where they take a bunch of sticky notes of plays, throw them into a bucket, and throw them against the wall. And the ones that stick are the ones we're going to run. What are we doing? And what is this consistency? The 2-quarterback thing, you want to go that route? That's for another show. We'll hit on that next week. We'll see how much they do of that. I don't think it's going to be as much. I tread lightly when I say that. A 2-quarterback system. I see Luke catching some passes. I see Luke running a couple of times. But the consistency or the amount of how much Luke is in there, I think, is going to change this week. I have a feeling how he's put in there.
I hope so.
2 is, if you have 2, do you have 1? Lots of questions, a lot of content. Follow us on Facebook. We're going to be up. This is going to be up on YouTube. Leave a comment. Subscribe. Liking is great, but share it with people. Do us a favor.
Sharing is caring.
Hit us up. We're always around. We're looking forward to it. God, I'm excited to be back. Aren't you?
I am very excited to have another season underway and a show done.
I'm excited. We're excited for you guys, and thank you for supporting us. Keep it going. Keep it circulating. With that, I'm Schutz.
I'm Boom.
We'll see you next week.